Kirby's jab block game in Smash Ultimate is pretty strong. While you don't get the insane rewards that you had from Smash 4 or even Brawl, it can still lead to an early kill, potentially set up for an edge guard, or just rack up a decent amount of percent. So very quickly, what is a jab block? When your opponent misses a tech, you have 25 frames to hit them with a move that has low knockback, so for Kirby's case, his best options are down tilt and jab. If you don't know what a tech is, you can quickly watch my video in the top right. So when your opponent misses their tech and you hit them with a weak knockback move, often a jab, you have 38 frames where your opponent is vulnerable, and you can punish however you want. Now you can lock your opponent twice. If you go for a third one, your opponent will then get up normally how they would have taken it if they weren't jab locked. So if you're playing as Kirby and your opponent misses a tech, if you are able to hit a down tilt or jab within 25 frames of your opponent landing, you have successfully locked your opponent. Since you can do it twice, you will generally want to go for another one. Make sure to space out the moves a tiny bit or else they won't connect. With some practice, you're going to get the timing down. Now, once you have them jab locked, you can go for many different punishes, which I will go over after I talk about some of the practical setups. A practical setup is one where your opponent has a very small window to tech, and you are able to run up to them in time to get the jab lock. Now, keep in mind these are all relying on your opponent missing, so we want to put them in situations that make it very difficult to get that tech. Now, I will be performing these on Mario since he's pretty average weight, but keep in mind that heavy characters get sent into tumble at a little bit higher percents, so something that works on Mario might not work on King K. Rool until he's at a little bit higher percent. And the opposite's true for light characters. Now, these setups will not work nearly as well against a character like Jigglypuff, who's very floaty, since they'll have a large window to hit their tech. But against a fast faller like Fox, they're a little more practical. I'll be explaining these generally from most practical to least practical. Now, first off, you have forward tilt. This probably is your best jab lock starter as it sends your opponent at a really hard angle to tech. Now also, if you land a down air, you can combo it into forward tilt, or you can combo it from the first hit of forward air. This will work at low to mid percents. Obviously the lower percent that sends them into tumble, the better. Now keep in mind that your opponent has to be sent into tumble to miss the tech, so if they are at too low percent, there won't be a teching situation for them. Another very practical setup is from a short hop forward air. You can also get a forward air after doing a forward throw at low percents, but a lot of time you're too high in the air and your opponent will have a very easy tech or can just jump away. Now, a lot of times I get these from an out of shield punish, since this is one of Kirby's best options to punish an unsafe move on shield when facing your opponent. Similar to the last one is a short hop back air. This is another one that you can get out of shield, however the timing is a little more strict for you to follow up. And a lot of times when I perform the back air, I retreat afterwards in case I miss the back air, which puts me out of range of jab blocking my opponent. So if you do think you are going to hit, do not retreat after performing the back air, instead try and follow up. Now, neutral air can also be great, sort of similar to forward air. However, with this one, if your opponent is at a bit higher percents, you can do the late hit of neutral air and then follow up. Now, you can also get a jab lock from a forward throw or an up tilt onto a platform. Here are some examples of that. You can also do it from an up air as well, but a lot of times they have very strict timing. Down tilt from a platform doesn't have the same untouchable mechanic that it did in Smash 4, but you can still potentially follow up with a jab lock if your opponent misses the tech. After a forward throw, if you hop cancel with a down air, you're able to follow up a lot easier. When you get the downward hit of up B and then grab onto the ledge, it sends your opponent at a really weird spot, and I rarely see people tech this. It can be a bit hard to follow up on at lower percents because it doesn't send them high enough for you to be able to get up from the ledge and then down tilt, but if your opponent is at a little bit higher percents, you will have enough time. Forward smash at very low percents against your opponent can set up for a very nice jab block, but you probably shouldn't be going for forward smash at these low percents anyways, so I rarely get this. Another weird one that I've gotten a few times is down tilt at super high percents. Now with these higher percents, you can't lock with down tilt, so you're going to have to lock with jab. And also keep in mind, down tilt stops locking somewhere around 80%, so if your opponent is around that range or a bit lower and you have a lot of rage, it's probably just best to go for a jab. Now there are a few more, but if you focus on just getting these, the other ones will sort of come naturally with time. There are also some setups that involve copy abilities, but I don't want this video to be too long, and we'll probably put those in a separate Kirby copy ability combo video. So let's say you do get the jab lock. Great. You may think you have 38 frames to punish, like I said earlier, but you have to keep in mind the end lag from jab or down tilt. So your first active frame after a down tilt is frame 16, and after a jab is 12, meaning you have 22 frames at advantage after a down tilt and 26 frames after a jab. Down tilt also sends your opponent a little bit farther, so be very careful of whiffing a move. You will generally want to get 2 down tilts or jabs in unless they are super close to the edge and would knock them off. Now, if you watch some of my videos, you'll see that I often go for jab, jab, and then forward smash. Now, this usually isn't your best option. You really only want to do this if you think it's going to kill, or just want to send your opponent off stage and set up for an edge guard. So, against certain characters, you can get the weak up tilt, which can be a great combo starter, and this may be a decent chance to get off an inhale against certain characters if you really want their ability, but the timing is really strict on that and probably won't hit certain opponents if they're too low to the ground. But if you want to rack up more percent, you can go for a down tilt, then a jab, and then you have time to follow up with a short hop down air. It's generally better to do the jab second because it'll give you some more wiggle room for hitting the down air. Now this can lead to a grab and you can follow up from that, or you could just do a down tilt, hope for the trip, and then do a forward smash. Or you could even go for a forward tilt if you think your opponent's going to miss attack again and then do it all over. It's really up to you with how risky you want to be and how big of a follow-up you want. So if you're really down in the game and you really need to make that comeback, maybe go for something a little bit riskier, but if you have a big lead, you probably just want to go for the safe percent. Now for jab versus down tilt. Another reason to go for jab is that in case they do tech, maybe do a tech roll, you have 4 extra frames to be able to follow up on what they're doing. Still, overall down tilt is usually best to go for when your opponent isn't at high percents, but it's just something to think about. So I would suggest practicing by going into training mode and trying to consistently get jab locks with forward tilt and going from there. Work on the timing, and if you do go for jabs, make sure to space them out enough so you don't get the rapid jab. I suggest having tilt stick on, as I find it a lot easier to do a running down tilt by running and then letting go of the analog stick right as I do the down tilt with the C stick. Work on getting the timing down, and then really work on getting your best follow-ups and implementing them into your play. Now, jab locks aren't super common, and they rely on your opponent basically messing up, but it's best to be prepared and know the best thing to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.